a government shutdown.
I set one little caveat. I will only meet if they let the country open. They have to let the country open.
The words flash across every news channel, signaling chaos from Washington. Politicians are on TV, pointing fingers in a well-rehearsed play of outrage.
Welcome to day 14 of the Democrat government shutdown.
Have shut the government down.
The finger-pointing lawmakers in Congress, they do not appear to be any closer to reopening the federal government.
You've seen this movie before, haven't you?
Day 93 under the dome. With necessities growing dangerously low, who knows what spark will set off this powder keg?
It's all breathless headlines about national parks closing their gates and dedicated federal workers missing their paychecks, all while our leaders are locked in a crazy stalemate. It's loud, it's messy, and for a few weeks, it's the only thing anyone is talking about. But what if I told you that's not the real story? Not even close. What if all this political drama is just a giant smokescreen for a much bigger, much more dangerous crisis that could wreck everything? The shutdown isn't the disaster. It's the final screaming warning flare before a debt bomb literally explodes. While the politicians are grandstanding on TV, the very foundation of the entire U.S. economy is cracking under a weight it can no longer support. This isn't about the government being closed for a little while. This is about your financial future and the future of the next generation being permanently destroyed. Let's be real. A government shutdown is a huge disruptive mess. It's a completely self-inflicted wound, born from political dysfunction. The last major shutdown in 2018-2019 was estimated to have cost the economy a staggering $11 billion.
We are going to lose some of this, some money from this, and it's $11 billion, as you can see on the screen. Wow.
About $3 billion of that was just permanently lost, vanished into thin air. For the hundreds of thousands of federal employees who were either sent home or forced to work without pay,
pleasant. It wasn't a beautiful sight. These are people that really want to work. These are people that, have a job.
It created immense financial uncertainty. It's essentially a tax on all of us, created by pure political chaos. But here's the secret the news almost never tells you. A shutdown only hits what's called discretionary spending. That's the part of the budget Congress has to vote on every year. This includes things like national parks, scientific research, the FBI, and education programs. But the largest parts of the budget, nearly 2/3 of all federal spending, just keep running on autopilot.
The debt every year is rising and putting a strain on our finances.
We're talking about Social Security, Medicare, and the most important one for this story, the interest payments on our massive national debt. They just keep going, shutdown or not. That's why the stock market usually just gets annoyed by shutdowns, but never truly panics. Wall Street knows the lights are still on where it really matters, the Treasury Department, which keeps paying the country's bills and ensuring bondholders get their money. But this is a complete illusion of stability.
Can that type of crisis, where the market quickly loses confidence, happen in the U.S.?
The shutdown isn't the real crisis. It's just a symptom. The same political paralysis that causes a shutdown is what's stopping our leaders from dealing with the actual catastrophe, our out-of-control national debt. While Washington is consumed by its own manufactured crises, let's look at the numbers they are completely ignoring. As of late 2025, the U.S. national debt has rocketed past an unbelievable $37 trillion. Projections show it reaching $38 trillion soon after.
Very tense moment between Republican Representative Mike Lawler and the Democrats' House Minority Leader Hakeem Jeffrey.
I'm here.
Why are you?
And by the way, you can pass an ACA extension right now. Sign on to this bill.
Did your boss
sign on to the bill?
Is your boss Donald Trump behind it?
HR 5145. Why don't you get on it?
That number is so large, it's hard to even comprehend. To put it in perspective, it amounts to over $110,000 for every single person in this country. Over the past year, the debt has been increasing at a rate of nearly $6 billion per day. The total debt is now significantly larger than our entire economy, with the debt to GDP ratio sitting at over 119% and projected to climb even higher. How did we get here? For decades, politicians from both parties have made a habit of spending way more money than we bring in. Massive tax cuts, expensive new programs, emergency funds for crises like the 2008 financial collapse and the COVID-19 pandemic, and 2 long wars in the Middle East all went on the national credit card. But the crisis isn't just how huge the debt is, it's how much it costs to just carry it. For years, we got away with it because interest rates were at historic lows. We were essentially borrowing for next to nothing. But that party is officially over. The Federal Reserve has raised interest rates to fight inflation, and that has turned our debt problem from a slow leak into a raging fire. The bill is coming due, and the price we have to pay is skyrocketing. In fiscal year 2025 alone, the government is projected to spend around $1.1 trillion just on interest. That's not paying back a single dollar of the debt. That's just the fee for borrowing the money in the first place. To give you some perspective, interest payments are now the second largest expense in the entire federal budget, right behind Social Security. We are now spending more on interest than on our entire national defense budget, and it's only going to get crazier. The Congressional Budget Office, or CBO, projects that if we don't change course, these interest costs are set to explode to $1.7 trillion a year by 2034. This is the classic definition of a debt spiral. We have to borrow more and more new money just to pay the interest on our old debt. This makes the total debt even bigger, which means we have to pay even more in interest the next year. It's an insane, vicious cycle that is slowly and methodically choking our economy to death. And this is where the shutdown comes screaming back into the picture. It demonstrates with terrifying clarity that our government can't even perform its most basic job, funding itself.
Has $20 billion to spare for a MAGA-friendly foreign government. How can they say we don't have the money to lower health care costs here at home?
If our leaders are so broken by political division that they can't even agree to keep the government open, what hope do we have that they can make the incredibly tough decisions needed to fix our massive, long-term debt problem? The crazy political games we see during shutdowns are the exact same ones that lead to debt ceiling fights, which are way, way more dangerous. A shutdown is disruptive, but a debt ceiling breach would mean the U.S. could actually default on its bills for the first time in history. This behavior is what led credit rating agencies like Fitch to downgrade America's credit rating from its perfect AAA status.
That risk now has credit agencies on alert too. Just a few weeks ago, Moody's stripped from the U.S. the very last of its highest tier credit ratings. Their decision, they wrote, was because of the increase over more than a decade in government debt and interest payment ratios to levels that are significantly higher than similarly rated sovereign.
They didn't do it because they think America can't pay its bills. They did it because they see a political system in complete chaos, a system that has showed a steady deterioration in standards of governance and is willing to play chicken with the full faith and credit of the United States. A credit downgrade is like your personal credit score getting destroyed. It makes it more expensive for you to borrow money. When it costs the government more to borrow, that cost is passed down to everyone. That means higher interest rates on your mortgage, your car loan, and your credit card debt. The political chaos in Washington isn't just a TV show. It's literally reaching into your pocket and taking your money. The scariest part of this debt crisis is something economists call the crowding out effect. That giant and growing slice of the budget that goes to paying interest isn't just a number on a spreadsheet. It's real money that can't be used for anything else. So what are we sacrificing at the altar of our national credit card? We are sacrificing the future. The money spent on interest is money not spent on rebuilding crumbling roads and bridges, investing in new technologies like AI and biotech, funding cutting-edge scientific and medical research, modernizing our schools, or making healthcare more affordable. As interest costs eat up more and more of our tax dollars, projected to consume almost a quarter of all tax revenue by 2034, there's simply less money for everything else. The debt is literally crowding out the critical investments we need to grow the economy and improve our lives. The CBO's long-term outlook is frankly terrifying. They project that if we continue on this path, our debt will soar to 116% of GDP by 2034, the highest level ever recorded. This is completely unsustainable. It threatens to slow economic growth, lower our national income, and could even risk the US dollar's status as the world's most important currency. For you, the consequences are unavoidable. This path leads to a future with much higher taxes, a dramatic reduction in government services like Social Security and Medicare, or a painful combination of both. It means a weaker economy with fewer jobs and opportunities for the next generation. It means we are becoming a country that spends all its money paying for the past instead of investing in a better future. The drama of government shutdown is temporary and will eventually end, but the slow, crushing reality of a national debt crisis is a permanent threat to an entire generation's prosperity. I know this is some heavy, insane stuff, and it's easy to feel like you can't do anything about it. But the first step is always to see past the political noise and understand what's really at stake. If you think it's important to expose what's happening behind the headlines, do me a favor, smash that subscribe button. We are dedicated to giving you the real information you need to understand what's happening to our world. And let me know in the comments, what part of this debt crisis is the most insane to you? So the next time you see the news channels filled with talk of a government shutdown, remember what you're really watching. You're not seeing the crisis. You're seeing a symptom of the crisis. You're seeing a broken political system broadcasting its own failure to the world for everyone to see. The real problem isn't that a few government offices are temporarily closed. The real crisis is the $37 trillion time bomb ticking at the absolute center of our economy. The shutdown is just the fire alarm blaring for everyone to hear. The question is, will anyone in Washington try to put out the fire before the entire house burns to the ground? I'd love to hear your honest take. Share your thoughts in the comments, especially if you've had your own experience with luxury brands that stopped listening. And if you want more stories that look past the surface of profit and performance, subscribe and stay tuned. We'll keep uncovering the moments where brands, customers, and values collide and what it takes to rebuild what was lost.